Hey, hello, and welcome to another episode of World of Unknown Solo. It's me again, Danny. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for joining us again. And today's episode, we're going to actually have two topics we're going to tackle. First, we're going to tackle the Red Room Curse, and then we're going to tackle the Smiling Man. Let's jump right into it. Start with the Red Room Curse. It starts with you surfing the net, and you get a pop-up window. It's just a red box window. You try to close it, it comes back. You try to close it again, it comes back again. And a message begins to form, slowly like blood dripping into words. Do you like the Red Room? And then once that question is fully revealed, something else begins. So the Red Room Curse is one of Japan's oldest digital urban legends. It began in the late 1990s, tucked inside a flash animation hosted on GeoCities, which is an old web hosting service now defunct. The animation shows a pop-up window, usually with a red background and text. In some versions, it starts simply as a red box or red door on a black screen. No explanation, no interaction, but the text start with, "Do you like?" ... A voice begins to speak the words, "Do you like?" in a low, mechanical, or eerily childlike tone. Try to close the window, and it comes back. You try to close it again, and it pops up again. And every time you close it and it reappears, a message grows one word at a time, and the voice speaks what is written each time until the full sentence is complete. Do you like the Red Room? Once this message is fully revealed, the screen turns red. A list of names appears, supposedly the victims of the Red Room Curse. What happens next? Depends on who you ask. Some say the screen glitches and then fades to deep red, leaving your computer useless. Others say a presence appears behind you and kills you. A few versions say a crack forms on your skin somewhere, small at first, and quickly spreads until you split apart. Both dying scenarios end up with your room painted red with your blood. That's how it gets its name. On June 1st, 2004, in Sasebo, Japan, an 11-year-old girl murdered a 12-year-old classmate with a box cutter. The crime was real. It was confirmed with outlets like BBC and the Associated Press, but then came the whispers. She had a Red Room animation bookmarked on her computer. That detail wasn't confirmed by the police or reported by any major news outlets. It was confirmed on folklore blogs and horror forums. And yet the legend stuck, because the Red Room Curse was already viral. It was already feared. And when a real murder happened, the internet did what it always does. It injected myth into tragedy. So let's be clear. The Red Room Curse is not a call to action. It's not like Slenderman case where the two girls had stabbed their friend and said that they did it for him. The Red Room is passive. You see it, you die. There's no motive. There's no ritual. There's no command. So why did it get attached to the Sasebo case? Well, because it was easy. A creepy animation, a real murder, a public desperate for answers, and all happening at the same time. The killer was obsessed with horror and gore, that part's confirmed. But the Red Room, that was likely internet folklore, trying to write itself into real life. So the Red Room Curse isn't about code, it's about suggestion. A question you didn't ask for, a fear you didn't know you had. It doesn't need proof, it just needs repetition, and maybe that's the real curse. Not dying in a red room with your blood, but wondering if it's already started. Because once the message begins, once the screen turns red, once that question starts to form, don't answer. Don't look. And for whatever you do, don't say yes. The Smiling Man. There are stories that feel like fiction. And then there are stories that feel like they could happen to you. This one was posted in 2012 by someone who never claimed to be a writer. They never wanted the attention. They just wanted to share something that happened to them one night while walking home. There's no monsters or curses in here. It's just a strange man and a strange encounter. He was moving in ways that didn't make sense, smiling in a way that didn't feel human. It's short, it's quiet, but it's the kind of story that stays with you, because deep down we all know what it feels like to be watched. This is how it was first told, unchanged, unembellished, the original 2012 Reddit post by Blue, title, The Smiling Man. Now, I am going to read straight directly from that Reddit post, word for word. About 5 years ago, I lived downtown in a major city in the U.S. I've always been a night person, so I would often find myself bored after my roommate, who was decidedly not a night person, went to sleep. To pass the time, I used to go on long walks and spend the time thinking. I spent 4 years like that, walking alone at night, and never once had a reason to feel afraid. I always used to joke with my roommate that even the drug dealers in the city were polite. But all that changed in just a few minutes of one evening. It was a Wednesday, somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning, and I was walking near a police patrol park, quite a ways from my apartment. It was a quiet night, even for a weeknight, with very little traffic and almost no one on foot. The park, as it was most nights, was completely empty. I turned down a short side street in order to loop back to my apartment when I first noticed him. At the far end of the street, on my side, was the silhouette of a man dancing. It was a strange dance, similar to a waltz, but he finished each box with an odd forward stride. I guess you could say he was dance walking, headed straight for me. Deciding he was probably drunk, I stepped as close as I could to the road to give him the majority of the sidewalk to pass me by. The closer he got, the more I realized how gracefully he was moving. He was very tall and lanky, wearing an old suit. He danced closer still, until I could make out his face. His eyes were open wide and wild, his head tilted back slightly, looking off at the sky. His mouth was formed in a painfully wide cartoon of a smile. Between the eyes and the smile, I decided to cross the street before he danced any closer. I took my eyes off him to cross the empty street. As I reached the other side, I glanced back, and then I stopped dead in my tracks. He had stopped dancing and was standing with one foot in the street, perfectly parallel to me. He was facing me, but still looking skyward, smile still wide on his lips. I was completely and utterly unnerved by this. I started walking again, but I kept my eyes on him. He didn't move. Once I had put about half a block between us, I turned away from him for a moment just to watch the sidewalk in front of me. The street and sidewalk ahead of me were completely empty. Still unnerved, I looked back to where he had been standing to find him gone. For the briefest of moments, I felt relieved until I noticed him. He had crossed the street and was now slightly crouched down. I couldn't tell for sure due to the distance and the shadows, but I was certain he was facing me. I had looked away from him for no more than 10 seconds, so it was clear that he had moved fast. I was so shocked that I stood there for some time, staring at him. And then he started moving toward me again. He took giant, exaggerated tiptoed steps, as if he were a cartoon character sneaking up on someone, except he was moving very, very quickly. I'd like to say at this point I ran away or pulled out my pepper spray or my cell phone or anything at all, but I didn't. I just stood there completely frozen as the smiling man crept toward me. And then he stopped again, about a car length away from me, still smiling his smile, still looking to the sky. When I found my voice, I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. What I meant to ask was, "What the fuck do you want?" in an angry, commanding tone. But what came out was a whimper. What the fuck? Regardless of whether or not humans can smell fear, they can certainly hear it. I heard it in my own voice, and that only made me more afraid. But he didn't react to it at all. He just stood there, smiling. And then, after what felt like forever, he turned around very slowly and started dance walking away, just like that. Not wanting to turn my back to him again, I just watched him go until he was far enough away to almost be out of sight. And then I realized something. He wasn't moving away anymore, nor was he dancing. I watched in horror as the distant shape of him grew larger and larger, and he was coming back my way, and this time he was running. I ran too. I ran until I was off the side street road and back onto the better lit road with sparse traffic. Looking behind me then, he was nowhere to be found. The rest of the way home, I kept glancing over my shoulder, always expecting to see his stupid smile, but he was never there. I lived in the city for 6 months after that night, and I never went out for another walk. There was something about his face that always haunted me. He didn't look drunk. He didn't look high. He looked completely and utterly insane. And that's a very, very scary thing to see. Again, that was posted on Reddit by Blue Tidal in 2012. So some stories haunt us because they feel too close to real life. Man on a quiet street, moving in ways that don't make sense, smiling like he knows something that you don't. There's no blood, no chase, just a moment that lingers after it's over. Others come through screens, a pop-up you didn't expect, a message you didn't understand, a room that you were never meant to find, and yet somehow you did. Smiling Man and the Red Room Curse exist in different spaces, one in the physical world and one in the digital. But they share something deeper. They don't need explanations, they just need to be experienced. Whether it's a stranger on a strange street or a cursed webpage, fear doesn't come from what they do, it comes from how they make you feel. That quiet, creeping sense that something is watching and waiting. Alright, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Red Room Curse and the Smiling Man stories. I found them to be very interesting. That's why I like to share them with you. Please, guys, if you like the show, please share, subscribe, like it, obviously, again. Hopefully we come back again, some more stories. Trevor, hopefully be with next time. I know I said last time, but he'll be with us then. Again, you guys have any comments, if you have any suggestions of stuff I can cover, or both me and Trevor can cover, please put them down there. Tell us what you feel, tell us what you're thinking about, and we'll hopefully see you guys again next time. All right, talk to you again. Bye. Boop.